How has online dating worked for you? I married and divorced a man I met on Tinder, so yes and no. Met a girl on Plenty of Fish. We went out but it didn't really work out. We are still friends and talk frequently 3+ years later. I met my wife in a less traditional online setting. We met on Xbox Live 6 years ago. Edit. I was playing Forza Horizon and she joined the party chat I was in. She was playing COD at the time. Edit 2. It's so great seeing everyone else's get-together stories on this thread. Congrats to all of you who connected with that special someone through the love of video games. For those who've had some bad experiences, I hope it's all just water under the bridge now. Got married to the person I met online dating. After countless dates, it was just really nice, relaxed, and we just clicked. We've barely been apart since, and that was 10 years ago. Girl I met online I dated for a few months. Turns out she was temporarily separated from her husband. She started seeing another guy without anyone else knowing. I find out she was cheating on me and still married when the wife or girlfriend of the guy she was messing around with spray painted her car when she was caught at his house one night. The police called me to figure out where I was that night and told me she was married but not to the guy she had been spending the night with. This was the same day my mother died. I met a boy online 14 years ago when I was 17. He was in Alaska. I was in Australia. But he was my online dating boyfriend. He's currently sitting next to me in Australia as my husband of 8 years. 10/10 would find in the abyss of the internet and marry so hard again. Edit. Whoa. I wasn't expecting this to get so much love. Thank you for the awards. Nice words and questions. To clarify some common questions. We met by chance. We weren't using a dating website. We accidentally found each other on a forum website and fell hard for each other. We started chatting in 2006. Kept in touch using MSN and Skype. He came out to Australia for a visit in 2009. I went there for a visit in 2010. He moved here on a temporary work holiday visa in 2011. We got married in 2012. Then went through the long process of a partner visa. I had a girlfriend on RuneScape a few years ago. Matched my missus on Tinder. Both type 1 diabetic. Both worked in the same company. Became the factory legend because I got with an office girl. Now we live in Arundel with a river in our back garden. D. 2 years ago I was swiping through Bumble on a boring, unnecessary conference call and I swiped right on the woman I will be marrying later this year. Started Tinder for a few months. 2-3 months no matches. Redid my pictures twice. Still nothing. Deleted and haven't tried again. Thinking of trying again. Edit. Wow. This comment doubled my karma alone. Thanks for the words of encouragement, advice and PMs. I will be putting effort in taking good and interesting pictures of myself and starting a fresh account. I have one more month of cutting. Feels like that would be a good point to start. Long story short, met the love of my life on POF in September 2018. Soulmate who completed me, made me and my body sing. He got diagnosed with cancer in January 2019. Given 12-18 months to live, died December 2019. So, very good for 14 wonderful months. Edit. Once again I have been inundated with condolences, thoughtful messages and offers of chats, if and when needed, by hundreds of lovely people, apart from one troll who questioned my maths, but I'm not wasting my thoughts on him. I will reply to everyone individually as soon as I can. But for now can I say one big massive thank you to everyone who has taken the time to contact me. Please believe me when I say that you are all very much appreciated. I am not messaged by a girl on Bumble who was wearing a pro wrestling and a Mass Effect shirt in 2 different pics, and responded immediately. Been dating for over a year now. Back in 2016, I created an anon Twitter account as a place to blow off steam and rant about things I didn't want my current future employers seeing. Wasn't looking to make friends and definitely wasn't looking for romance. But one day another anon DM'd me one of my tweets with a message like OMG yes. I totally agree with this. We started talking about random topics and hit it off immediately. Over the next few weeks, We talked on the phone a lot, FaceTimed every night, and before either of us realized what was happening we were falling in love. People will argue whether you can fall in love with someone you've never met, but I can tell you that it's absolutely possible. One minor problem: I lived in South Georgia at the time and she lived over 1,000 miles away in Chicago. Another minor problem: both of our parents were absolutely opposed to us dating and did everything they could to keep us apart. She was a freshman in college and I was a sophomore at the time, and both of us were still living at home. So that became a challenge. If you thought a long distance relationship was hard, try having a long distance relationship in secret. Her parents wouldn't let me visit her, and every time we'd try to plan a trip to meet up things would fall through. After about 7 months of waiting, I did the craziest thing I've ever done. I got on a plane and flew to Chicago without telling anyone where I was going or telling her that I was coming. I called her from the O'Hare airport and nearly gave her a heart attack. Her parents somehow agreed to let her come see me after loading her purse with mace and pepper spray, and we spent an incredible few days laughing together and falling more in love than we thought possible. Amazed that I would go to that much effort to date their daughter, her parents eventually relented and gave us their blessing. We continued to date long distance, and in September 2018 I dropped to one knee on the Chicago waterfront and asked her to marry me. She said yes, and made me the luckiest man alive. Fast forward to May 2019. I packed up my life and drove 14 hours straight with my golden retriever to start a new life in Chicago with the girl I love. Adjusting to Chicago has been a challenge for this diehard southerner, but it's worth it and I'd do it all again in a heartbeat. When the stars align and fate brings an incredible woman into your life, you don't give up on her just because she lives 1,000 miles away. If you made it this far, thanks for putting up with my rambling. Hopefully this inspires you not to give up on love. TLDR. Sometimes sliding in the DMs works. Oh. And love always finds a way. Edit. Thanks for the platinum and all of the kind words. Had no idea this would blow up, but glad some of you enjoyed reading it. If you're looking at my numbers, horrible. But if you're looking at my experiences, great. Tried serious dating. Just ended up increasing the number of men I've slept with. Edit. Someone seriously texted me slut. The shaming is real. My friend was weighing the pros and cons of dating this girl. He described a girl who I thought sounded really great and advised him to see her. He didn't and I never met her. She had a unique name and years later I see that name on Tinder. I think it couldn't be a coincidence, so I message her the story of my friend and how I thought he blew it. We've been dating for 7 months. I told my friend and he got a good laugh. Rarely match. When I do get a couple messages back and forth of pleasantries and getting to know, then ghosted. Every time. Never gotten a date with anyone from online. I wasn't truly searching for a boyfriend, but I met a boy online and we started dating in 2016. He moved in a year and a half later and we just celebrated our 4-year anniversary. Posted a comment on a metal band's official page and got a request from this chick. Started talking to her cause I wanted to bone but ended up with a house and a kid with her. 10 years strong straight out of MySpace. I was skeptical about it but I swiped aggressively, both left and right, for 2 weeks hoping something would work out. Ended up that after 3 weeks I had a date, with 2 separate girls, Saturday and one Sunday. Saturday flaked the morning of, claiming to be too hungover to make it. Mind you, this was 10 hours before the agreed time so I was not impressed. I was cool about it though. Said we could reschedule for later in the week. Second girl messaged me that afternoon asking if I wanted to meet that night instead. I said yeah, absolutely. Thinking, hey, that's pretty neat. So we agree to meet at a restaurant of her choosing. And I show up 5 minutes early. Get there, and there's a private event that's closed to the public. So now I'm thinking this is quite a curveball. I wonder if I will have to pretend to know someone at their private corporate event. It wasn't that, though. She just didn't know about the private event. So we went somewhere else. Been seeing her for over a month now, and it's going great. Sure, there are plenty of horror stories, but really my personal opinion is that even if you have 9 bad dates, it only takes one for it all to turn around. I may have gotten lucky, It is still early, but even if I hadn't, if you are serious about wanting a relationship you have to keep trying. It won't fall out of the sky. I was invited to a gangbang. Too bad the girl never showed up. Still had 6 though. Met my current partner and future wife. Very successful. Had many marriages. I seem to attract men who are toothless. Married the first girl I dated who I met online. It was on my BBS and 25 years ago, but it did work. Met a few crazies, but then found someone truly psychotic enough to marry me. Ole. So not really dating dart, but I met my husband online in a MSN chat room in 1999 when online dating was unheard of. One day he sent me a whisper, a private message for those of you who have never heard of MSN chat, and asked if he could come see me. He lived 5 hours away and drove down to take me to dinner and then drove back home. 20 years later we are married for 13 years after doing long distance for 7 and have 3 kids. Matched with a girl on Tinder and we decided to meet up. She looked a lot chubbier in person but I didn't mind. Problem was she brought her fat best friend without telling me and she stayed throughout our date. I was pretty much left out of place the whole time. Before, blowing money on video games and fast food. Lonely and slept as much as I could. After, married. Have a daughter. I'm part of her family now and I love them all. Home is clean and comfortable and we're smart with our money and we'll have a house with land before too long. Currently laying next to my best Tinder match and our dog, and I wouldn't want it any other way. We met online, talked almost every day for a year, met, dated, got married and 12 years later still together. I joined Tinder after I had broken up with my ex as per my friend's insistence just to have fun. Within 3 days I had matched with a guy with who we never ran out of things to say, so a week later we met up and we just clicked. Fast forward, it's now been 3 years that we are together and even more in love than when we first met, and we even have a house together. Not well whatsoever. The matches I have either ghost me or send a few messages then never text again. It's also bots that I get as well. Got to a point I just stopped bothering very much. Well, it works. I've been on 4 dates via Tinder and 1 date via Bumble. Problem is, either I have bad luck, or I am just an idiot. 1. Date 1 puked on me and tried to make out with me naked in a hallway covered in vomit. 2. Date 2 went psycho and started to stalk me and even found out where I worked. All this because I wouldn't help her steal a gosling from a petting zoo. 3. Date 3 pretty sure it was a setup to rob me. 4. Date 4 uneventful, but we realized we didn't click well. No craziness. A nice woman. We were just in different places in life. 5. Date 5 Bumble. Met in person, and she said I was too short for her. I'm 6'1". She was 4'11". Edit. Due to popular demand, I shared some of the details in a shortened fashion. Date 1 was desperation, frustration, and vomit will do to a person. Date 3 I'm in danger, or how I learned that I should not date anymore. Date 5 oddly enough there was a lot of interest in this. It's quite boring and uneventful. I was able to bang 2 chicks with the same name consecutively. That's about all there is to report so far. I spotted a guy at my local bar doing lights for the band that was performing and I sadly got kicked out before approaching him for using the men's washroom because I couldn't wait in the huge women's lineup. Lol. Anyways, so I immediately downloaded Tinder to see if I could find him and I did, and he matched me. We're still kicking it 3 years later. Thanks Tinder. I feel like I've become too reliant on it. I've met all my exes through apps and I wish I knew how to meet people the old-fashioned way. Met my wife on Tinder. Don't tell anybody that though. Was on several online sites for a few years. A couple of dates here and there but nothing serious. Then I connected with one girl and we clicked. First date ended up being a 3-hour conversation hanging out at a restaurant where we not only knew we went to the same college at the same time but had mutual friends. I thought it was too far-fetched that we hadn't met in college, so that night after the date I went through old digital photos convinced we had met. I found a group photo with her in it, then remembered meeting her. We absolutely would not have worked as a couple. Thinking it was a bit much to tell her that I spent an hour scouring photos, I waited to tell her that we actually did meet in college. On our wedding day a year and a half later, it was a reveal in my vows that even somehow after our first date I thought it would be a surprise to tell her later on. Our child just turned 10 weeks old. We love each other and bicker like an old married couple, all because we had another chance to meet at the right time. Not at ducking all. Friend of mine met his wife online. I don't know what the duck I'm doing wrong. Met my wife via online dating. When I came to the US there was no other way to meet women. All the women in grad school had boyfriends since high school or were already married. So I gave online dating a shot. It was a roller coaster process, but in the end I met my wife, so it all worked out well. A. It's pretty low effort. 2. Many of my dates originating online had successful outcomes, ranging from short-term relationships to marriage. Mind you, this was before Tinder. I put in 0 effort. I've got 0 results. Funny that. We'll be celebrating our 12th wedding anniversary this year. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. Terribly for the first half a year or so. I was about to give up when I found a girl with a really high match percentage to me. We went out and now over 4 years later we're engaged and living together in a new state. So in the end, it worked out pretty well. Heavy case of mistaken identity. Who's Bob Vagine? I tried Bumble once, went on a date and it worked out. We're still together 1 year on. That has been my first and only online dating experience. So literally a 100% success ratio for me, though I wasn't expecting that going in. I met an awesome Canadian flight attendant. She was flying here to Germany once or twice a week. We dated for some time. Unfortunately it didn't work out in the long run, but it was a great experience and I still consider her a good friend. I mostly use the likes of Tinder and Bumble as a means to proving to myself that they don't work. I could swipe right as often as it permits me, but I get nothing. I wouldn't even know what to do if I did get a match. I don't expect to get that far. So, the short answer in my case is it hasn't. Though that's pretty much entirely my own fault. Edit. Having thought further about it, I've come to realize that I have no business in even trying online dating as I am. Not like anything ever came of it in the first place. Anyway, I've now uninstalled them. No sense in deluding myself any further. Rather debilitating experience. Lots of fraud. In pictures and about me descriptions and fake likes. Looking at you. Match. I had pretty much given up. Stopped subscribing and only stayed on one where I could receive messages for free. And then a gal sent a message. We were an incredibly good fit. Had a heck of a lot of fun together. She moved in after 4 months with her 3 Bengal kitties. It's been a year now and we have 5 Bengal kitties. Dating is just a numbers game. Entertain anything that gets you dates. A good friend met her husband online, and before she met him she'd had a few other less successful relationships from online dating sites. No horror stories, just things that didn't work out. Met my wife on Craigslist personal ads back when those were a things. It's done alright for me. I mean 12 years together. 6 married. Got a 6-year-old kid. She's kind of on the fence on us making it to 13 years though, lol. Matched on Tinder about 5 years back. Things hit off. We liked the same music and series, which was a big plus. After 3 years we moved in together and about a year later we both noticed how the relation became more difficult. She had feelings for someone else. But we would work through that together until she went to her party, kissed him, and she decided this couldn't continue and I moved out within a week. Those 4 years were great, though living together took a toll. And always remember to search for something you feel good about. Don't stay with someone just because it's safe and you know how it is. If you're not comfortable, either both work on it, or be honest and call it quits. Online relationships are awesome. I'd love to be a part of one someday. Happily married for 7 years. Ehemony. This is how my buddy convinced me to try online dating. 1. Use a paid service. You know the person you meet has already invested at least $50 to $100 to get to meet someone, so they are somewhat serious. 2. You rule out the first deal breakers you learn in the first 10 dates. For example, want kids in the next 2 years? More important to have fun now, or be financially responsible? How much smoking drinking do you do? Career important? 3. There is more likely to be some traceability, so there are less people that will rob kill you. 4. He was meeting great people 10x 20x faster than you would through everyday life. You can connect with people you would never meet otherwise. My advice to make it work. 1. Be transparent. Don't hide anything. You want someone to accept you as you are. Don't try and out who you want to be or who you think they will like. 2. Be real about who you could be happy with when connecting with matches. We all want our mate to be a 10. But the reality is that after a couple years you won't see the surface and will love a person for what's on the inside. 3. Accept a person for who they are. Do not get into something where you think you can change things that are deal breakers. 4. Online dating is not a sign of desperation. Try it. We have busy lives and it connects you to a much larger pool of people than you would ever meet in your life. We only have so many friends of friends to meet, and that chance encounter from the movies is rare or just BS. I never would have met my wife otherwise. Tinder. 6 months in. She is the most emotionally supportive people I've ever met. Back in 2015 or 2016 in this app called Blockman Multiplayer I had 8 Minecraft wives. The app no longer exists. IDKY. But let's just say I went to the store to buy milk. Edit. This is the most upvotes I got. It didn't work until it did. I had lots of first dates, one night stands, and fizzled crushes before I met my wife on Tinder about 3 years ago. It just took a while to find a girl who A. I was attracted to, B. was attracted to me, and C. had similar desires for what they wanted out of life. The big thing is just be yourself, improve yourself if possible, and be patient. Someone who appreciates you for the things that make you will come along. You can't rush compatibility.